statement, and then we'll take questions.
Yeah, very proud of our team. It's been an interesting season. 14 new players. The transfer portal is an interesting entity that creates some challenges from a coaching standpoint, putting a team together that quickly, and really happy of the growth of the team. Obviously, championships is what we've it's kind of the same expectation as the other football coach here at Clemson. This is our 7th final we've played in 10 years. I think we've got 2 of the players on our team who are in their 5th year who've played in 5 finals in a row, 4 ACC finals and a national championship. So the history and tradition of the program is rich, and we're happy to continue to add to it.
You talk about all those different faces that are on your roster this year. How have they been able to bring their own flair but yet maintain your expectations that are this Clemson roster and the product that you expect to put out?
Yeah, the game's a player's game. It's not a coach's game, right? The players once the game starts, the players make all the decisions. At halftime, I get to do a little something, but so you don't complicate it for them. We do have a culture that we've developed in our program, and I think that culture is taught from those who've come before them. And there were the new players who came in this year. We still had, like I said, Mohase, we had Usman Manilla, Brandon Parrish, Adam Lynn, plenty of guys who understood what that is. And we spent a good deal of time this summer and preseason teaching that culture and having really the players teach that culture to their new teammates.
Speaking of the portal stuff, what have you learned? Certainly a lot of this is a learning experience for you. What have you learned that has been a revelation that you didn't know pre-portal stuff?
Yeah, I think it's different for everybody, Larry. It's in the way you do things and the way you go about doing things as a coach. Again, just as the team's grown throughout the season into a championship caliber team, we're growing as a staff as this continues to evolve. And this is really our first. I mean, we go back 4 or 5 years where we've had grad transfers. Tommy McNamara now playing for the New England Revolution. Derek Woloff last year. But we haven't had many undergraduate transfers, and in the past we've only taken younger transfer students that we could then teach the way that we'd like them to be in our program. This year we had grad transfers, we had juniors coming in, so it's a little bit different, and it takes more time. That's the thing. Again, it's not like any other sport, and I think that's what many people don't understand. And there aren't any timeouts. You don't send in a play so the essence of relationships and building relationships is the key to the sport, and that takes time, right? So we had some high-profile guys come into our program, but at the same point, they're used to how things are done someplace else, and it takes a lot of time for that to develop, and that's why, again, college soccer is the only place in the world where we play for 2.5 or 3 months and then do camps, clinics, and conventions the rest of the time, which is a little bit facetious, but we push hard for a different model for the sport, and hopefully that'll evolve over the next year or 2.
How well is this roster built for the NCAA tournament?
I don't know. We're about to find out. I think we have. You don't win an ACC championship unless your roster is built for championship performance. Not in this league. It's known in throughout the country that it's the most difficult league in the country, year in and year out. And again, I think we are the only team who's been to multiple finals in the last 10 years. So I think that there's the roster's built and is going to continue to be built. Our signing class this year is outstanding. But you never know. And in the sport, like all sports, it comes down to moments, doesn't it? And those moments have to go your way. It can be a referee call. It can be, like the other night, the other day, Scylla taking his moment and scoring the goal. So we think we've got players who can take advantage of those moments, and hopefully they'll continue to go our way.
Mike, how has it helped you that the continuity with you and your staff has allowed you to have the runs that you've had?
Yeah. It's massive, right? Coach Jones has been with me since I came to Clemson 14 years ago. He's our recruiting coordinator, right? Camilo Rodriguez has been here for 6 or 7 years, and he's as good a goalkeeper coach. If you look at what our goalkeepers have done and what they've done after they've done playing at Clemson, you can see his value. And, he's from this area. He was a head coach, right? He understands what's going on. When this year we were allowed to hire another full-time coach, and we went out with certain criteria to find Malik Mbai. We wanted a Clemson alum, right? We wanted someone who had played in our program during what we call the modern era since we've gotten here. And someone who could a little bit younger, who can relate with the players, right? And so that was Malik. And then our director of soccer operations, Rob Thompson. Rob was a 26-year head coach at Division I level at New Hampshire. He was my assistant at New Hampshire many, many years ago. I won't tell you how old I am, but we all work really well together, and they deserve a great deal of credit because they challenge me every day. And if they don't challenge me, I don't think you would have seen that continuity.
What were some of the most important coaching adjustments you guys made early in the season, whether lineup-wise or just looking back?
Yeah. Predominantly, we've played with 4 backs for as long as I can remember since being here, right? And even before that. And this year we're playing with 3 backs. I think that was personnel driven. It's also staying present with what's going on in the game and learning. And it's fun. Again, one of the hard things is when you've done this as long as I have, Larry, is that you have to, I talk about challenge, you have to challenge yourself. And if you always do what you've always done, you always get what you've always gotten. And I wanted to challenge myself and challenge my staff. So we changed the system, right? We knew the personnel would fit it, but many times in our sport, you have a system and you bring personnel in to fit that system. I think in the modern game, and for the education of our players too, because when they leave here, so many of our players, some of the things, we've had 2 Herman Trophy finalists, 1 winner, right? We've had, I don't know how many pro players have walked out of here. Now, guys playing with Messi now, down in Florida. But, for us, when those guys leave, they have to have a soccer education as well as a Clemson education, because they may play in a different system. They're going to play for a different coach. And if you're playing the sport at the highest level here in this country, you're going to have to adapt to a lot of different circumstances that are different than what's here in Clemson. So we try to expose them to that, and that was one of the main ones this year.
Time for one more question.
Coach, can you talk about, as you guys are headed, into the tournament, how it's going to feel, how the impact is going to be playing at home? You're at Riggs, you're in front of your home team, hometown. What is the impact of Riggs as you head into this next round?
Yeah, it's the best place in college soccer to play, bar none. And I've been to pretty much all of them. It is an amazing venue. A lot of times you feel the fans, right? And when you can feel the fans, that means the stands are close to the field. So we feel the fans, they feel us, right? And I think that's what soccer's about. That's what sport's about, really. But soccer in particular, and the reason why I fell in love with it, because it's about motion, but it's really about emotion. And the emotion that our crowd generates for our team, and I've said this many, many times, it's not who you play in the NCAA tournament, because they're all good. We're getting probably the second toughest or third toughest conference in the country. We're getting their champion potentially in the second round, right? And that's not to take anything away from High Point, because High Point may beat Charlotte, but it's not who you play, it's where you play. And it's the same thing with recruiting and players. It's not who you get, it's what you do with what you get. And Clemson continues to get the best fan base in college sports, much less college soccer, I think, in the country.
And I do have one question. I've been watching Saturday or Sunday's game. You're down 1-0 against a great defensive UNC team. They're obviously so very good. But just watching it, you had the feeling that Usman was going to do something at some point, that he was going to make a play, and he did. What's it like having players like Usman Manilla on your roster who you just know they're going to come through when it really matters, and you've got more than one guy that can do that?
Yeah, and again, if you look, he's kind of the catalyst. But you're right. We have many people, and we've scored with many different players, and I don't know whether they're first or second in goal scorer this year. But you've heard it said, the coaching adage, heard it said in every sport, right? Big players, big games, and he's as big a player as we have on our team, even though he's small in stature. But he is, he was on his game. And he's been on it for about 4 or 5 weeks, 6 weeks maybe. And we hope he stays hot for another month.
Thanks, Coach.
Great, thanks everybody.